I got a Patreon request from Andrew to review Dr. Dolittle, specifically the 90s adaptation starring Eddie Murphy. Surprisingly, I did not watch this movie when it was first released, and yet I did see the sequel shortly after it came out on video. Bizarre, I know. I did not like the sequel very much, and so never went back to see the first film. When the adaptation with Robert Downey Jr. was coming out, I thought it would be an appropriate time to finally watch the first movie and revisit the sequel. I actually did not mind Dr. Dolittle 2 this go-round, and while not great, I found it harmless enough. The first one I did not like at all, so giving it another chance has my opinion changed on it. Not particularly, as I mostly just don't find it to be all that funny. I think Eddie Murphy is a great comic talent, which is why I made a video a few months ago counting down my favorite performances of his. However, this is not Murphy in top form in my opinion. He's watered down and low energy in Dr. Dolittle, and the film does not give him many funny things to say. Dolittle's character mostly involves him reacting in shock, then having uninteresting conversations with the animals as he tries to help them with their problems. This movie also gives us the workaholic parent plot device, and I know I've gone over my dislike for this type of storyline over and over again, but to its credit, I don't find Dr. Dolittle nearly as annoying as other movies in that regard. The whole plot point of his family complaining that he works all the time and does not spend enough time with them is primarily relegated to the first act. It's then mostly discarded to focus on everyone's reactions to him talking to animals. Dolittle's family reacts more with concern and confusion to him rather than anger, while his youngest daughter's arc mainly involves her thinking her father is dismissive of her interests. The movie brings in a lot of celebrity voices for the animals, but much like Murphy, I don't think what they're saying is all that amusing. They got some genuinely funny people to voice these animals, like Norm Macdonald, Chris Rock, and Albert Brooks, but they're given little to work with. Paul Reubens even shows up as a raccoon, basically doing his Pee Wee Herman voice, but is only given a few lines. The filmmakers especially seem to think Rodney the guinea pig, voiced by Rock, was going to be a breakout character, as the film will constantly cut to him getting into some shenanigan. Did any of his bits make me laugh? Not really. Even outside the animals, many of the jokes don't land for me. There's a strange running gag where a patient of Dolittle's keeps eating shellfish despite them causing her severe allergies. It's not all that funny the first time, nor is it the second or third time. Honestly, the funniest parts for me belong not to Murphy or the animals, but instead Raven-Symoné as the other daughter. She has something like 10 lines in the entire movie, but her delivery on them is genuinely funny, including finding the right facial expressions.
Dad, I have to go.
Lucky's in the bathroom right now.
Dog issues in the bathroom.
Incidentally, I think she also gets some of the funniest parts in the sequel. She's a genuine comedic talent, and it makes sense why she eventually got her own sitcom. And considering Kyla Pratt plays her sister, it sure seems like whoever ran Disney Channel's casting department in the early 2000s must have been a big fan of this movie. Then you have the expected sentimental bits, which did not leave the needed impact, largely due to my lack of connection with the characters. As uninteresting as I think the story is, I do find Dr. Dolittle to be a well-paced movie as it zips through its 85 minutes. I should probably mention the director of the film, who has had quite a fascinating career. It was directed by Betty Thomas, who began her career as an actress and became most well known for a role on the show Hill Street Blues. She then retired from acting to become a director, working on several shows and winning an Emmy Award for an episode of the HBO sitcom Dream On. She also directed a few made-for-television movies, with The Late Shift, an HBO movie about the Letterman-Leno rivalry, receiving the most attention. She would even win a Directors Guild Award for that movie. Aside from Dr. Dolittle, her other feature film credits include the Brady Bunch movie, Private Parts, and John Tucker Must Die. In 2009, she directed Alvin the Chipmunks' The Squeakquel, which was a huge box office success and for time was one of the highest-grossing films directed by a woman. She would usually come out with a new movie every few years and was clearly a filmmaker with demand, so you would think the offers would have come flooding in after Alvin 2, and yet that's the last feature film she has directed. Since then, she's only directed a 6-episode YouTube series, a pilot for First Wives Club television series that was not picked up, and 3 episodes of Grace and Frankie. While many of the films she has directed are hardly critical favorites, she's had enough commercial success that her being in director's jail is very confusing. And while I'm personally not a fan of Dr. Dolittle, it's clearly a film that resonated with many, and it was certainly a crowd pleaser to others. I just did not find it to be all that funny. But if you've seen Dr. Dolittle, let me know your thoughts in the comments, and thank you for the request, Andrew.